So Barry, how many people, let's say, they leave their jobs without a clear roadmap for their retirement purposes?
Well, certainly some of them do that, but most people, I think, have a reasonable idea, Ralph, of what they want to do in retirement. Because if you don't know how you're going to spend your time and fill those 8 to 5 hours Monday through Friday, I would say you're not ready to retire yet.
Well, nobody wants to run out of income in their retirement journey wherever they're going. So where do most retirees, Barry, get their money when they're calling it quits on their career?
Well, for guys like you and me, Ralph, who weren't fortunate enough to have a rich wife that allows us to become kept men,
Right.
the answer is in retirement, we will get our income from first Social Security and then from pensions. Or sometimes we actually help people turn some of their assets into private pensions, contractual pensions that'll last their entire lifetime. And then sometimes people are just withdrawing money from their investment accounts. And it really is the same whether it's men or women. All of us get our retirement income in exactly those same ways.
Well, we've heard situations with Barry Watts about people having 10 401ks spread all over the place. Look at this, look at that. Where am I? When it comes to investing, Barry, let's talk about, should we be invested differently in retirement?
Well, differently than what is the question, Ralph? I think what you're asking is really, does the way you invest change as you age? And the answer is, of course it does. I mean, young people should give little consideration to risk. Put their money into the stock market, into index types of investments, and let it ride. But you and I, Ralph, have reached an age where bonds become an important part of our personal portfolio. And so here's a personal confession, though. I don't actually personally own any bonds in my portfolio. But I'm a professional, so people shouldn't try this at home. Retirees generally should have a portion of their money in what we call protected principal. That's where they can get a stock market related rate of return, but no matter what happens in the market, the worst thing that can happen to them is when it goes down, they get all their principal back. And so when we sit down together, we discuss risk and we figure out how much of their portfolio should be invested in that way that minimizes risk. And then we look at the portion that we're going to expose to risk. And how can we develop a strategy that will buffer that portion so that when the great falls in the market happen, they're protected from them somewhat? I remember a lady, Ralph, who came to see me. She was in her 60s and she had $40 million.
Oh,
now, that's not normally the size case we see. I've only seen that size case once in my lifetime with just a retired individual that nobody knew their name who had $40 million. But in the year before, she had lost $10 million of her portfolio because it was managed by one of those guys on TV who talks about being a fiduciary and says, we do better when our clients do better. Well, this lady was perfectly comfortable losing $10 million because she thought she had to be. She thought it was required for her as an investor to tolerate that. And I've got one word for somebody like that. No, you don't have to lose that high percentage of your portfolio. She wasn't properly diversified is the reason that she lost so much. She didn't have any protected principal. She was invested like she was 30 years old, but she was in her retirement years.
Barry, I'd also love to get your thoughts on market volatility, our risk tolerance, and having money in the market. And should we pull back from the market when we're ready to retire? Or if the market is not doing so well for us, or maybe is doing well, should we continue working while the market's working? How do we base our decisions on market volatility and the time to plan our retirement?
Well, I think everybody, no matter their age, should have some money in the markets, some money that is exposed to stock market volatility. So we even see 90-year-old clients with that kind of exposure. Frankly, some of them are far more aggressive than they ought to be because they want to invest like they're 50 years old, but they've done it for years. They're kind of used to it. So Ralph, the way we start the process at the WealthCare Corporation is we actually teach people the difference between stock market volatility kind of money and protected principal. Now, the key to protected principal is zero risk to your principal. You cannot lose your money, and yet you can still get a decent return. So there's a lot more that we could teach about that we can't unpack in this TV show. But the important question to ask is, after they understand how protected principal works, What percentage of your assets do you want in protected principal? And that people will say anywhere from 20% to 70%. And there's not a right answer. After they answer, they always want to know, was that the right answer? There's not a right answer because every person is different. Every individual situation is different. So we customize our plans to the amount of protected principal that they want. And then with the money that's not protected, then we show them how to buffer it so when the market takes wild swings, they don't swing as wildly with it. If you like this content, please follow and subscribe. And for more information, please look in the description below.